Before the college entrance exam, there was a graduation frenzy. The class beauty stood on the podium and led the class in tearing up their 3 years' worth of textbooks into a shower of paper scraps. Before she could say anything, the dean of discipline rushed in, confiscated her masterpiece, and even scolded her in front of everyone. The class beauty's face turned livid. The next day, she brought in several packets of white pills. This school has oppressed us for 3 years, now that we're about to graduate, they won't even let us have our final release. Why should they? This is a fake death drug. It can make us seem dead for a while, and then we'll wake up before the college entrance exam. They've gone too far. Let's all die once together and make the school, the teachers, the parents, and everyone else regret it. The whole class went wild, cheering and rallying behind her plan. Only I refused, and even tried to persuade my classmates not to gamble with their lives and futures over a moment of anger, but the classmates sneered in dissatisfaction. Shinsiu, it was enough that you acted like the teacher's lapdog all the time. We're about to graduate now. Who's still afraid of you going to report us to the teacher? Since you're a member of our senior class 1, you can't betray our group. Today, you must take the fake death drug. When they saw I wanted to run, they surrounded me in a circle and force-fed me the pill to prevent me from leaking information. They fed me 3 times the normal dose of drugs. I never woke up again. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the moment when the class beauty was standing on the podium, holding up the pills and shouting for resistance. This time, I smiled as I took the pills and swallowed them in one gulp. Anyway, I've already secured my recommendation spot, so I really should take a good rest. I stood there in a daze, looking at the podium, as Han Man raised the pills in her hand high, her emotions running high. You've all had enough of this already, haven't you? Sleeping only 4 or 5 hours a day, having to keep doing practice problems all day long, getting publicly humiliated if your scores are even a little low. Throughout these 3 years, not a single day have we been free. The school treats us like exam machines, and in our parents' eyes there's only our scores. No one has ever asked whether we're tired. Now that we're finally almost through it, they still want us to endure it. In silence, we're going to make them regret it and make this school pay for its oppression. Scene after scene from my past life unfolded before my eyes once again. Han Man somehow got hold of a batch of fake death pills, and to get revenge on the school, she urged the whole class to take them together. According to her, 12 hours later, we would all fall into a deep coma together. We would not wake up until the morning of the college entrance exam. In her view, the entire class dying together would surely cause a huge uproar. By then, it would not only thoroughly ruin the school's reputation, but also make the teachers and parents taste the cost of oppressing us. As for us, we would get plenty of rest in a deep coma, and upon waking be full of energy as we headed to the exam hall. This was undoubtedly a win-win situation. After hearing these words, the students below the stage instantly erupted in excitement, cheering and agreeing one after another. Not a single one of them questioned the safety of the pills. Instead, they were immersed in the thrill of rebellion, eagerly scrambling to join this plan. At that moment, Han Man's gaze sharpened as she looked straight at me in the crowd. Shinsiu, you're always tattling to the teachers on ordinary days. You're the class monitor, so I don't blame you. But now, we're almost graduating. You surely wouldn't still be planning to secretly report this to the teacher, would you? As soon as the words fell, the originally excited students all turned around, their gazes locking onto me in unison. Han Man personally took out a pill, stepped down from the podium, opened her palm, and held the tablet out in front of me. See you, you're also part of Class 1, senior year. You'll definitely join us in resisting the school's inhumane education methods and fighting for justice for everyone, right? I stared fixedly at the pill in her palm, somewhat lost in thought. Seeing me remain silent for a long time, a few classmates beside me exchanged glances and immediately closed in around me with unfriendly looks. The scene before my eyes was almost identical to the one in my previous life. When everyone had forced me to take the medicine, I shuddered violently, snapped back to my senses, and took the pills into my hand. Of course, just as Man said, we're one whole, so we should certainly stand together and advance or retreat as one. Seeing me agree so readily, Han Man couldn't help but feel a bit smug. As the usually strict and serious class monitor, my compliance with her plan undoubtedly gave her a great deal of face. Meanwhile, I lowered my head and stared at the pill in my hand, inwardly sneering. From the very beginning, Han Man had left me no room for refusal. Even if I hadn't agreed, the classmates surrounding me would have immediately forced me to take this fake death pill. In my previous life, out of a sense of responsibility as the class monitor, I advised them not to gamble with their future so recklessly. However, under Han Man's instigation, everyone believed that after my failed attempt to dissuade them, I would immediately turn around and report them to the teacher. They pinned me down on the spot and forced pills into my mouth. Shinsiu, you're always poking your nose into other people's business. The whole class agreed to stage a collective fake death to get back at the school. If you dare to stand in our way, You'll be the traitor of Class 1, senior year. 3. Even though I struggled desperately and repeatedly swore I would never reveal their secret, they still shoved over a dozen pills into my mouth. They all thought that increasing the dosage would only make me sleep a few extra days, and even if it caused me to miss the college entrance exam, it was the punishment I deserved as a snitch. But no one could have anticipated that an overdose of the medication would directly take my life. While they were still in a state of faint death, I had already truly stopped breathing, and after my passing, I personally witnessed their fate. The faint death drug indeed could induce a deep sleep, but Han Man miscalculated its potency. They failed to wake up in time, completely missing the college entrance examination. They desperately took revenge on the school, ultimately burying their own futures. I only tried to help them out of goodwill, yet lost my life for nothing. In this life, I don't plan to get involved in anything anymore, whether they want justice or ruin their own lives. It has nothing to do with me. I won't sacrifice myself for their future anymore anyway. I've already been granted admission. Since they want to cause trouble now, I'll accompany them for a good sleep. After Han Man felt pleased, a hint of doubt began to arise in her heart. What if I'm just pretending to go along with it, and as soon as I step out the door, I take the medicine to report to the teacher? Wouldn't that completely ruin their plan? Han Man stared at me intently, making a pointed suggestion. Since this medicine takes 12 hours to take effect anyway, why don't we all take it together right now? That way, we can prevent anyone from betraying the group. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately led by example, picking up the pill and putting it directly into her mouth. Seeing this, the other students also cheered and swallowed the pills in their hands. Under Han Man's watchful gaze, I didn't hesitate for a moment either, raising my hand and swallowing the pill. Noticing that Han Man was still frowning, the class sports committee member, who had always idolized her as a goddess, immediately rushed up to me and threatened, "Did you really swallow the pill? You're not lying to us, are you? Who knows if you're hiding it in your mouth, planning to sneak out and spit it out later? Shinsiu, if you have nothing to hide, open your mouth and let everyone check to prove you're not a traitor." Han Man then pretended to be kind in a soft voice, but her words still implied that I should open my mouth to prove my innocence. "Siu, we've been classmates for so many years. Of course I believe you're not that kind of person. It's just that you heard Chenhao's concerns. Please cooperate with the check so everyone can feel at ease. If it really turns out that Chenhao is overthinking, I'll apologize to you on his behalf first." Watching them act so aggressively, I sneered inwardly but kept a calm expression on my face as I opened my mouth, allowing them to inspect carefully. After confirming there were no traces of pills in my mouth, Chenhao snorted coldly, tossed out a remark about me knowing my place, and then went over to Han Man to claim credit. I thought I just needed to sleep and wait for the outcome, but that night, after returning to the dormitory, halfway through washing up, I realized I had forgotten my facial cleanser and had to turn back to fetch it. Perhaps my roommates didn't expect me to return so soon, as they were currently gathered together, loudly discussing the task assigned by Han Man. Man said that Shinsiu definitely wouldn't take the medicine so obediently. What if she comes back and secretly induces vomiting? If the medicine isn't strong enough and she wakes up too early, what should we do? To prevent her from playing tricks, we'll put 2 extra pills in her water glass later, so she'll sleep longer and won't wake up early to ruin our plan. The most timid girl in the class hesitated slightly upon hearing this, adding 2 more pills. What if she oversleeps and misses the college entrance exam? The remaining people were unconvinced and sneered. What can we do? Then she can blame her own bad luck. Anyway, the teacher said she has good grades and is a promising candidate for Tsinghua or Peking University. She can just repeat a year. I stood outside the door, listening to their words, and felt no surprise in my heart. After all, in everyone's eyes, I was just the teacher's lackey. I would mercilessly report anyone who didn't hand in their homework or violated classroom discipline, and I would sternly stop anyone I caught cheating on exams. Now that I've suddenly gone against my usual behavior and agreed to such a rebellious act, it's no wonder they suspect I have ulterior motives, but I never expected that Han Man would even consider secretly increasing the dosage as an extra precaution. Perhaps she genuinely believes that taking more of this medicine would, at most, just extend the period of feign death. However, having experienced my previous life, I know all too well that an overdose of this medicine can truly be fatal. I quietly walked back to the washroom, deliberately stalling for a long time, estimating that they had already secretly placed the pills in my water cup. I leisurely returned to the dormitory. When my roommates saw me enter, they all deliberately avoided eye contact, only sneaking glances at my every move with the corners of their eyes. Their expressions a mix of anticipation and nervousness. I calmly picked up my water cup and returned to my bed, pulling the curtain to block their view. When I went to refill the water later, the cup was already completely empty. Only then did someone let out a long sigh of relief, their tone still carrying a hint of amusement, dripping with sarcasm. College entrance exam is just 2 days away, super scholar. You must do better than all of us this time. I calmly raised my head and looked at her. Yeah. My grades are definitely enough to get me into Tsinghua or Peking University. I also wish you all good results. No sooner had I finished speaking than the dormitory burst into loud laughter. After all, in their eyes, I had already drunk the water laced with drugs, and failing the exam was already a foregone conclusion. My heart is utterly calm. Laugh now. Soon you won't be able to laugh anymore. At 11 o'clock at night, the dormitory lights went out on time, and the entire building fell into silence. Lying in bed, I was wide awake, quietly waiting for the medicine to take effect. Slowly, my body grew cold, and my heartbeat began to weaken, gradually becoming indistinguishable from that of a truly dead person. But this time, there was no panic in my heart like in my previous life, only a sense of calm, because I knew that this time, what awaited me would no longer be death. All 57 students in the class fell into suspended animation at the same moment, while the teacher, patrolling downstairs all night, remained completely unaware. No one could have anticipated that an entire class of students had collectively turned into corpses. Early the next morning, just as dawn was breaking, a scream pierced through the entire campus. The dormitory supervisor, who had come to check the rooms as usual, discovered upon pushing open the dormitory door that everyone inside was still lying in bed, asleep. She reached out to shake them, intending to wake everyone up, but when he touched the student's cold body, his legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground, screaming in terror. Something's happened, someone's dead. Panic instantly swept through the entire campus. The principal and the homeroom teacher rushed into the dormitory in a panic, while the school doctor, clutching a first aid kit, scrambled up the stairs. Yet what they saw was an entire class, 57 students in total, lying quietly in their beds, lifeless. The school doctor's hands trembled as he checked everyone's heart rate and pulse one by one, his face turning deathly pale in the end. I can't detect any vital signs from any of them. They're all dead. The principal's legs gave way, and he had to lean against the wall to steady himself. With the college entrance exam just around the corner, an entire graduating class had suddenly met with disaster. Forget keeping his job, he was probably going to end up behind bars for this. The news spread rapidly, and ambulances and police cars arrived one after another, their sirens blaring, crowding the school entrance. Parents who received the terrible news also rushed over like mad people, their heart-wrenching cries echoing throughout the entire street. My child was perfectly fine. How could he just be gone? My child, whom I've raised with so much effort for 18 years, was driven to death by your school. The news of the collective deaths of students in the college entrance exam class quickly topped the trending topics, and public opinion completely spiraled out of control. Netizens angrily condemned the school for being inhumane and exploiting students, which led to the mass suicide of 57 students. The Education Bureau quickly established a special investigation team to conduct an overnight thorough inquiry. The principal was immediately suspended, and all subject teachers were questioned one after another. Once a coveted Tsinghua Peking University factory that attracted students from the province, it overnight lost all its reputation and became something everyone avoided. Han Man finally got her wish and retaliated against the school. My parents also rushed over, touching my cold body. Though their faces were pale, they fortunately didn't lose control completely. As soon as I knew I was going to fake my death, I sent them a message, instructing them that no matter what happened next, they shouldn't panic, and that I would be fine. At this moment, seeing my body, they were nearly broken, but out of trust in me, they still endured their grief and asked the school to let them take me back. However, the case of 57 people dying collectively was too serious. Neither the police nor the school was willing to agree easily, and a group of grieving parents couldn't accept the collective death of their children. In the end, we could only be collectively transferred to the hospital to monitor our vital signs. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, with only 10 minutes left before the college entrance exam began. Yet, not a single student in class 1 of the senior year showed any sign of waking up. The parents waiting outside the door had long since stopped worrying about their children's exam prospects. Instead, they spent their days weeping outside the hospital rooms, praying over and over for a miracle. Just as the bell signaling the official start of the college entrance exam rang, the previously steady and silent heart monitor suddenly displayed a faint, fluctuating line. Immediately after, 57 machines almost simultaneously began emitting the rhythmic Sound of heartbeats. The classmates who should have been declared dead in hospital beds gradually opened their eyes. Han Man was the first to sit up, completely disregarding her body's lingering weakness from lying still for too long, and immediately pulled out her phone to check the trending topics. Only after seeing with her own eyes that the school was being universally condemned online did a smug smile appear on her face, and she couldn't help but cheer loudly. We succeeded. We got revenge on this devouring school, making them pay the price they deserved. The classmates sharing the ward all stood up at the news, grinning wildly. They were overjoyed, thrilled that their revenge had succeeded. In their eyes, this collective act of feigned death as resistance had finally made the strict school administration and indifferent parents taste the consequences. Han Man lifted the blanket and got out of bed directly, waving her hand confidently and saying, "Let's go, we're just in time to head to the exam hall for the college entrance exam, and afterward, we'll publicly announce this great uprising against oppression in front of all the media." Everyone readily echoed in agreement, happily preparing to head to the examination hall. At that moment, the girl in the class who was usually the most timid clutched her phone, her face pale. "What time does the college entrance exam start again? Why does my phone show it's already 9:30? Han Man froze for a moment on hearing this, then waved her hand dismissively. 9:30, Linyu, your phone must be broken. How old is that model anyway? You should really get a new one. Anyway, after today, parents will definitely feel so guilty towards us, so quickly get a new one then." The classmates beside her also burst into laughter, mocking Linyu as a bumpkin, asking what era it was, still using such a brick-like phone. Linyu's mouth twitched, but she ultimately said nothing. In her heart, Han Man was the campus goddess, and whatever she said must be right. Han Man was certain she had calculated the dosage and timing perfectly, so there was no way any mistake could have occurred. Yet the moment she instinctively glanced down at her phone, her face instantly turned deathly pale, and she froze in place. Her classmates, who had been chatting and laughing beside her, noticed her sudden change in expression and quickly pulled out their own phones to check. One of them immediately let out a sharp scream. "How is it already 9:30? Everyone instantly panicked, scrambling to take out their phones, only to see the exact same time displayed on everyone's screens. 9:30, the Chinese exam has already been going on for half an hour. Can we even get into the exam hall now? Weren't we supposed to wake up before the college entrance exam? What do we do now?" No one could have predicted that they had overslept by a full 30 minutes. Han Man trembled uncontrollably, muttering in disbelief, "How could this be? I calculated the time so carefully. How could I have missed the exam?" No one could answer her question. Han Man had only accounted for the duration of the feigned death, but forgot to factor in the time it took for the drug to take effect. This one oversight completely destroyed all their plans. They were so intent on getting revenge on the school that they ended up sacrificing their own futures. The panicked noises from the hospital room reached the hallway, where the parents, their eyes red from crying, could no longer hold back and rushed into the room in a swarm. Upon seeing their children brought back to life, the parents were overjoyed and immediately rushed over to embrace them. "How can you be so foolish, child? You scared your mother and me to death. I'm sorry. Was the pressure I put on you too much? I'll never force you to study again." Children who had always been forced to study by their parents suddenly felt a sense of elation upon hearing their apologies. The parents' guilt overshadowed the panic of missing the college entrance exam. Linyu's mother clung tightly to her daughter, sobbing uncontrollably. "Xiaoyu, you're your mom's only family. If I lose you, I really don't know what I'll do from now on. Mom was even thinking that if you really never wake up, I might as well go with you." Linyu came from a single-parent family and had always relied on her mother working various jobs to support the household. She knew she was her mother's only hope, and since childhood had heard her mother constantly say that she was counting on her to get into a prestigious university and make something of herself. Seeing her mother crying like this, the guilt in her heart could no longer be contained. She couldn't understand how she could have been so foolish as to agree to the fake death plan, causing her to miss the college entrance exam, and she began crying and repenting. "Mom, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have impulsively followed everyone else to take the fake death pills out of anger. Please forgive me, Mom. I will definitely study hard again and get good results." Fake death pills. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of all the parents present changed. They looked in disbelief at the children they held in their arms, thinking they had come back to life, but the children all guiltily avoided their gaze. The joy of regaining what was lost instantly turned into anger. "Faking death? You're insane. The college entrance exam is a matter of a lifetime. How dare you gamble with your future out of Spite, I thought you were dead, and I cried for 3 whole days. What on earth did I do wrong to deserve a son like you who would come back to torment me? I worked so hard to send you to school for 12 years, and now look at you, faking your death and ruining your entire life. How can you face me? For a moment, the hospital room was filled with the sounds of beating, insults, and desperate screams. At this point, even if anyone still wanted to argue, it was useless, after all, failing. The college entrance exam this year was already a done deal, and no matter how much they argued, it would just be empty excuses to escape the scolding at home. Everyone couldn't help but point their fingers at the culprit, Han Man. Han Man felt flustered inside. Although her family was quite wealthy, missing the college entrance exam wasn't a serious matter for her, but now, facing the accusing gazes of everyone, she couldn't help but panic and wanted to sneak away. Just then, she suddenly caught sight of a figure that stood out from the rest. My parents were gently holding me as I just woke up, not scolding or beating me, but instead crying tears of joy. Han Man was completely stunned, unable to help but shout out loud, "Shinsiyu, how are you awake?" I looked up at Han Man, whose expression was filled with shock and suspicion, and calmly retorted, "We took the same medicine together, why can't I wake up now?" Han Man opened her mouth, momentarily lost for words. Of course, she couldn't admit that privately. She had her lackey administer an even higher dose of medicine to me. Wouldn't that just be telling everyone she wanted me to sleep forever and miss the college entrance exam? Panicked inside, she glanced at my parents standing protectively beside me, then quickly shifted her eyes and spoke with malicious intent, "Uncle, Auntie, please don't blame Siyu. It wasn't intentional to miss the college entrance exam. With her excellent grades, even if she repeats a year, she'll still get into a good school." She thought my parents were just caught up in the emotions of having me back and hadn't yet had time to dwell on the fact that I'd missed the college entrance exam. By bringing it up so pointedly, she was clearly hoping to use it as a reason for my parents to scold me. What she didn't expect was that, upon hearing this, my parents immediately grew alert and protectively shielded me behind them. It was obvious they had sensed Shin Man's ill intentions toward me. "We would never blame Siyu. She's grown up now and has her own ideas. As her parents, all we need to do is support her." Han Man looked stunned, but still unwilling to give up. She tried to keep fanning the flames. "Uncle and Auntie, Siyu was clearly just acting on a whim and wasted her college entrance exam. She was originally a promising candidate to get into Tsinghua or Peking University, but now it seems she might not even be able to get into a first-tier university." Before she could finish speaking, the head teacher, hastily summoned by the nurse, rushed into the ward. The head teacher, already furious upon learning that the students had intentionally taken the fake death pills to delay the exam, turned livid upon hearing Han Man's provocation. "That's enough, Han Man. What are you saying to Siyu's parents here? Shinsiyu has already secured a direct admission offer to Tsinghua University. You'd better worry about yourself instead." Han Man froze in place instantly, then was overwhelmed with resentment, her expression twisting with bitterness. She never could have imagined that my willingness to go along with everyone's antics was all because I no longer needed to take the college entrance exam. At that moment, she felt that everything she had done was nothing but a joke. The other classmates present also turned grim-faced upon hearing this, and the parents who had accompanied them were even more furious. "All you do every day is talk about how bad Shin classmate is, acting like a teacher's yes man. Look at him now, he's been recommended for admission. You've made such a fuss that you can't even take the college entrance exam anymore, and you still have the nerve to talk behind others' backs. How could I have such a disappointing child?" The hardest person to accept this was Han Man. They had all lost their future to begin with, and would continue to appear as cautionary examples in the college entrance examination. Yet, the one she disliked the most, me, remained completely unaffected, securing my spot at a prestigious school with ease. Her eyes filled with venom as she immediately tried to drag me down with her. "Teacher, this isn't our fault at all. It's all Shinsiyu's doing. She was the one who gave us the fake death pills and encouraged us to take them." As she spoke, she immediately turned to look at me, her eyes quickly welling up with tears. "Shinsiyu, do you know you've been granted direct admission? So you deliberately used fake death medicine to deceive us, intentionally making us miss the college entrance exam. I know you're upset that we usually isolate you a bit, but you can't ruin our futures like this. The college entrance exam is a lifetime crucial event." The students present quickly exchanged glances, although they all knew in their hearts that Han Man was the one who started this whole thing. Right now they urgently needed to push forward someone who could bear the parents' anger. And the only one among us who went to college was undoubtedly the best scapegoat. That's right, Shinseyu instigated us. We thought you were a good student and the class monitor, so we believed you. Who knew you'd turn out to be this kind of person? Mom, Dad, we were just momentarily confused and easily believed her. Otherwise, how could we have done such a thing? After all, it's their own flesh and blood child. Besides scolding and beating them a bit, there's not much else they can do. Hearing them all speak up to testify, the parents each felt they had found the culprit, and glared at me with resentment. I always said my child has been well-behaved and sensible. How could they do such a ridiculous thing? It turns out you were the one inciting them behind the scenes. You've ruined my child's entire life. You must take responsibility. If my child can't go to college, don't even think about going yourself. The media, having learned that we had regained consciousness, had also arrived at the scene at some point. They happened to broadcast the part where they identified me exactly as it happened, and netizens immediately erupted in an uproar. This girl looks so quiet and gentle, yet her mind is so malicious. She caused the whole class to miss the college entrance exam, and then she got a guaranteed admission herself. She just can't stand to see others succeed. How could Tsinghua possibly accept a student of such immoral character? Hearing these people's slander, my parents furrowed their brows. They knew exactly what kind of person their daughter was, and naturally refused to believe these people's lies. I was so infuriated by their baseless accusations that I couldn't help but laugh, then retorted, "Since you all claim every day that I'm the teacher's yes man and a traitor to the group, then why did you take the fake death pills when I told you to? Listen to your contradictory words. Don't you find them absurd yourselves?" My classmates all guiltily avoided my gaze, but Han Man still refused to let it go. Wasn't it just because graduation is approaching, and we wanted to improve our relationship with you? Who knew you would come up with such a malicious idea? As she spoke, she stared straight at Linyu, who had first exposed the truth, her eyes carrying a hint of threat. "Linyu, you've always been the most honest among us. Tell the truth. Was it Shinseyu who started it first? It was her who grew tired of the school's restrictions, saying she had played the good girl for so long and now wanted to do something big before graduation, to make the school famous." My gaze then fell on Linyu. She was my roommate and also the most timid girl in the class. In both daily life and studies, I had always taken care of her. At the same time, she was the only one who worried about me when they tried to drug me again. But at this moment, Linyu slowly lowered her head, nervously clenched her sleeves, and ultimately spoke up in a low voice, giving false testimony. "Yes, it was Shinseyu who suggested it. I agreed only because I saw she was the class monitor." Linyu knew clearly in her heart that this was the only chance to redeem herself after accidentally revealing the fake death drug. She didn't want to be isolated, so she had no choice but to let me down. Seeing even the usually honest Linyu making such an accusation, Linyu's mother immediately glared at me with fury in her eyes, and I clearly realized that in this class, there was no one worth reaching out to again, so I said solemnly, "Alright, since all of you have identified me, you should at least provide some evidence. You might not know, but the school started debugging surveillance equipment in various locations a week ago in preparation for the college entrance exam. They've all said so. Teacher, could you please check the surveillance footage and let everyone see who came up with this fake death drug idea?" The homeroom teacher, looking utterly exhausted, immediately took out his phone to contact the school and retrieve the video footage. Linyu instantly trembled all over with fear. She had thought that by telling a small lie, she could shift all the blame onto me, but she never expected that I could actually produce surveillance footage as evidence. Her mother, who had been supporting her, immediately noticed her daughter's trembling. This was the daughter she had carried for 10 months. How could she not understand her seeing her daughter's state? Linyu's mother immediately made up her mind. Clenching her teeth, she finally couldn't hold back and slapped Linyu hard. "Linyu, how have I raised you since childhood? Yes, I've always hoped you'd achieve great things, but I've also always taught you that before mastering scholarship, you must first learn how to be a decent person. You're just like your father now. I should have never given birth to you." Linyu was stunned by the slap, and upon hearing her mother's words, she completely broke down. "I was wrong, Mom. Please don't abandon me. I didn't mean to lie. I didn't mean to target Shinseyu, but I didn't want to be isolated by the class either. I really had no other choice." Her cries echoed through the hospital room, and the truth was now painfully clear. Han Man, standing beside her, saw the homeroom teacher had already dialed the phone and could no longer maintain her composed demeanor, shouting in protest, "Shinseyu, even if you didn't provide the medicine, so what? As class monitor, why didn't you stop us back then? Isn't that your responsibility? Stop. What could I have used to stop you? My life. I believe I've been a conscientious class monitor, doing what the academic committee member should do, doing what the life committee member should do, but you all just think I'm the teacher's yes man. Has anyone ever been willing to listen to me? As soon as I finished speaking, I took out my phone and opened the recorded audio. Han Man forcing me to take medicine, and my roommate secretly adding drugs into my water cup. Everything was crystal clear. I haven't even said anything yet, and you're already treating me like this. If I had actually tried to persuade you, what would you have done? Held me down and forcibly fed me some medicine you got who knows where. Remembering the agony of my past life's death, I couldn't help but clench my fists, and my parents, hearing those words on the recording, were also shocked. They had only thought I was following along in the nonsense because I had secured a guaranteed admission spot. I never expected that I would be forced to take these pills, and I immediately glared at everyone present with eyes full of anger. You all ganged up to slander my daughter, and now you even forced her to take some unverified, dubious pills. If anything happens to my daughter, I'll make every single one of you pay. The hospital room descended into chaos. The parents were both furious and regretful, unable to believe they had raised such children, and they began arguing loudly, just as I was about to leave this troublesome place with my parents. Several police officers entered the room and headed straight for Han Man. Ms. Han, you are suspected of privately circulating and using illegal drugs. Please come with us now. Han Man was immediately handcuffed and taken away by the police. The investigation results of the collective fake death incident in the college entrance exam class were officially announced after the exam concluded. The incident was ultimately classified as a malicious use of illegal drugs by the entire class to retaliate against the school, and the school was not held responsible for it. The illegal drugs provided by Han Man originated from their family's pharmaceutical company. The drugs themselves were illegal narcotics destined for foreign countries, and were seized together at this moment. Not only did the company go bankrupt, but Han Man's father and several key personnel also faced legal punishment. Han Man's mother spent her days at home weeping and cursing Han Man as a jinx. Meanwhile, the rest of the classmates were also dragged into the spotlight and publicly criticized after this incident. Not only that, what they hadn't anticipated was that the aftereffects of the fake death drug would be so severe. Even after waking up for 2 or 3 days, they were still suffering from dizziness and nausea. They not only had to take the college entrance exam under these conditions, but also faced constant pointing fingers and whispers from all teachers and students. When they returned home, they were met with cold stares from their parents. Everyone's college entrance exam results were a complete disaster. They never thought that their so-called grand rebellion would end up harming no one but themselves, destroying their future, ruining their reputations, and even leading the school to hold them accountable for damaging its reputation. After the college entrance exams, the luckier students, as the only child in their families, had parents who, despite their disappointment, had no choice but to run around on their behalf to deal with the school's lawsuits. As for the rest, they were simply abandoned by their families. Their parents either tried for a second child or pinned their hopes directly on their younger siblings. Without financial support from their families to cover the cost of repeating the year, they had no choice but to settle for attending a junior college. They wanted to seek revenge but couldn't find anyone to take it out on. Han Man was sent to prison, and as the victim, they were terrified that I would sue them, so they were rushing to avoid me. When I learned about their fate, I didn't feel any satisfaction from revenge, only indifference in my heart. In fact, after they killed me in my past life, their fates turned out much the same this time. I just escaped from these selfish and foolish people. Their current fate was entirely self-inflicted, and I should also be holding my acceptance letter, rushing toward the bright future I was supposed to have. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. After a serious illness, I could see ghosts with my right eye. The first ghost I saw was my little dog. It stood by my bed, anxiously jumping up and down. What should I do? What should I do? That murderer is about to come back. He's going to kill Mom today. I froze, my eyes fixed intently on the puppy ghost. The puppy ghost stopped jumping and tilted its head, panting. Mom saw me. I propped myself up and sat, carefully observing the puppy ghost. The little ghost dog is a golden retriever, and the 2 patches of white fur on its back confirm that it is my little dog who passed away not long ago. I rubbed my aching head and tentatively called out, "Duo duo." The little ghost dog smiled. Mom can really see me now. It was so happy it kept spinning around. I wanted to pat its head, but my hand Passed through the air, I forgot. It's already a little ghost dog. I never expected that a serious illness would allow me to see ghosts, especially since the first ghost I encountered was my own dog. Ghosts don't seem all that scary after all. At least my little dog Ghost can't let go of me, and it reminds me that someone wants to wait. What did it just say? Duo snapped out of excitement and remembered the important matter. It lay by the window, peering outside, and after confirming something, immediately barked at me. Mom, run now, while you can. The man you live with is a deranged serial killer. He's going to kill you today. I was stunned. Is my husband a sadistic killer? Although my mind was in chaos, my body had already started changing clothes. I instinctively trusted my little dog. It had been with me for 7 years. If it weren't for the car accident, it should have been with me even longer. Hurry, let's go before it's too late. I put on my down jacket and hurriedly followed my little dog out of this house. The elevator slowly ascended. Jason is a murderer. I found it unbelievable. He must be a very caring person, feeding stray cats and dogs and even finding them adoptive homes. Duo shook his head in frustration. It's all fake. No one actually adopted them. They were all brutally killed by that man. At this point, Duo's voice choked with sobs. Now he's no longer satisfied with killing small animals. He wants to kill people, and you're the first target. Ding, the elevator arrived, and my heart inexplicably tightened. The door slowly opened, revealing no one inside. Duo and I, one human and one ghost, quickly slipped in. But won't he be discovered doing this? He could keep the killing of stray animals well hidden, but murder, because he keeps a ghost. At this point, Duo seemed a bit scared. That ghost has been raised to become stronger and stronger. It can block surveillance and even alter people's memories, even Mom. Duo paused, looked up at me with an urgent expression. Anyway, that ghost told him yesterday that he could kill people. His ability is sufficient. A chill ran down my spine. No wonder Jason's look toward me suddenly changed yesterday. It was an urgent, frenzied, and fervent gaze. Come to think of it, I remember he went out to buy a new boning knife last night. His reason was that the knife at home had become dull, and he wanted to make me bone broth to nourish my health. The elevator descended floor by floor, and the feeling of palpitations returned. Something's not right, I murmured, the sense of unease growing stronger. A new WeChat message popped up on my phone. Honey, I'm back. I brought you some pumpkin porridge. He took a picture of a plastic bag containing packed pumpkin porridge. Everything seemed normal, but when I noticed the background of his photo was the elevator lobby of the building, I gasped sharply. Get off the elevator, hurry, there's no time left. The elevator doors opened, and our eyes met. Honey, where are you going in such a hurry? I was so scared I couldn't stand steady. It wasn't because of Jason, but because I saw the fierce ghost behind him. His eyeballs bulged out, his mouth was wide open, and his head swayed left and right in an extremely eerie manner, as if his neck was broken and couldn't support his head. The most terrifying part was, he was looking at me. Those bulging eyes rolled around, looking at me. Then at Duo. I can't let him find out. I forced a smile. I dreamed about Duo. At the mention of Duo, Jason's expression stiffened. The tilted head ghost seemed to want to attack me, but Duo jumped in front of me and bared his teeth at him. I was terrified, but I had to pretend I couldn't see them. It said it misses its mom and dad, and it doesn't have any Dogecoin to buy food on Dogstar. Hearing this, Jason relaxed quite a bit. He looked at me carefully, and I knew he hadn't completely let his guard down around me. My complexion was terrible, but it didn't matter. I was a patient who hadn't fully recovered from a serious illness, so it was normal for my complexion to be poor. This illness could help me hide a lot of things. Seeing that Jason remained silent, I continued. I want to buy some toys and paper money to burn for Duo. Will you come with me? I invited him not because I wasn't scared, but to dispel his suspicions as much as possible. See, I'm completely open and honest, knowing nothing at all. Sure enough, Jason smiled and shook his head. No need, I shrugged. Then I'll go by myself. There are funeral supplies sold right outside the market anyway, and it's not far. After saying that, I walked around him, looked at the crooked neck ghost in front of me, steeled myself, and walked straight through it. Can't see it. I walked further and further away from Jason, my heart beating faster and faster. Wait a moment, he grabbed my wrist. What's wrong? My heart tightened, but I still had to pretend nothing was wrong and ask him. Jason looked at my feet. Are you going in slippers? I looked down and chuckled dryly twice. I'm so feverish I'm not thinking straight. He pulled me into the elevator without a word, his tone full of concern. Go up and change your shoes. I was back at my doorstep, one step further from escape. After hurriedly changing my shoes, I attempted a second escape. I'm going. Jason stopped me. He didn't speak, and all I could hear was the sound of my own Heartbeat, growing faster and faster. My little dog looked at us anxiously. He couldn't speak at this moment, in case he revealed something that would only put me in greater danger. Is Jason going to kill me now? Just as my heart was about to leap out of my throat, Jason finally spoke. Actually, I've already bought pet funeral supplies. What? With one hand holding me, Jason opened the storage cabinet with the other, revealing many paper toys and paper money inside. Pet-specific funeral supplies, I murmured, reading the floral print on the packaging bag. Jason nodded, taking out a bundle of joss paper and weighing it in his hand. I originally wanted to wait until you got better so we could burn it together. And this, he said, pulling out an exquisite card from his pocket. This is an ID tag I made for Duo. Let's burn it together so that over there, he won't be a nameless little dog. I tried to glance at Duo out of the corner of my eye, the moment he saw the ID tag. His entire body began to tremble. Do not burn that. Do not burn that. That is something that can burn the soul of the puppy. If you burn it, I will vanish. I pretended not to hear, cold sweat breaking out on my forehead. That's perfect. Let's go burn it now. The sooner we burn it, the sooner Duo can get an ID card. Jason raised an eyebrow. No. I nodded firmly. Jason remained silent. His head lowered and his brow furrowed. Somehow, I felt as if he was trying to communicate with something. Although that head-tilting ghost was by his side, Jason never seemed to give it a glance. He also didn't spare a single look at the little dog ghost. I have a theory that he can't actually see ghosts and can only communicate with the head-tilting ghost through consciousness. Sure enough, after staring at me for a while, the head-tilting ghost nodded and moved its mouth as if speaking. His neck must have really snapped, with only the flesh and skin keeping his dangling head from falling off. Jason rubbed his head, having received the affirmative reply from the tilted head ghost. Fine. With Jason's permission, I grabbed the spirit money and headed toward the main gate. Where are you going? This time, it was my turn to look Jason over with a scrutinizing gaze. Going down to burn paper offerings. You still want to burn them at home? Jason scratched his head and followed along. I chose a spot in the residential area far away from the greenery. Let's do it here, I said, mustering my courage and pointing to the spot. I still hadn't found a way to escape, but I had already circled the residential area twice. If I circled again, Jason would notice. I crouched down and wrote Duo's name on the ground with a stone. The sky is nearly evening. How can I survive today? Run directly, even if I can outrun Jason. What about the crooked-headed ghost? Looking at the flames in my hand, I feel despair. The weather isn't great today. I hope a strong wind will come soon to blow out this fire. The little dog doesn't want to disappear yet. I held my breath. Was Duo trying to tell me something? I think I understand now. I pretended to burn the paper money as if nothing was wrong, deliberately slowing down my movements. The paper needs to burn thoroughly, completely. It wouldn't be good if it caused a fire. Jason didn't participate in burning the money from start to finish. He watched me, tightly clutching Duo's ID card in his hand. Almost there. Give me the ID card. I reached up my hand without looking up. The moment my hand touched the ID card, an inexplicable gust of wind swept through the surroundings. Ash flew into Jason's eyes. The flames surged violently. Damn it. Duo pounced towards the tilted head ghost, extending its claws to frantically scratch his vulnerable head. Now's the chance. I snatched Duo's ID card and dashed toward the entrance of the residential area. Behind me, Jason's frustrated roar echoed, but I didn't dare to look back. I didn't stop until I reached the street, bustling with people coming and going. It was rush hour, and the crowd was dense. I don't believe the ghost raised by Jason can blind so many people at once as I expected. Jason stopped chasing us at the entrance of the residential area. The few seconds Duo held back the head-raising ghost played a crucial role. Mom, let's go quickly. They won't be chasing us out anytime soon. But it's hard to say if we wait any longer. Duo panted as he returned to my side, his soul somewhat unsettled. Across the street, I saw Jason and the crooked-head ghost standing at the entrance of the neighborhood, staring at me with venomous eyes. The crooked-head ghost opened his mouth, and then Jason laughed. He mouthed a word at me. I will find you. I walked along the bustling city streets as night fell, with lights shining brightly. Duo told me that the tilted-head ghost's abilities were growing stronger under Jason's influence. At first, it could only help Jason briefly control some weak life forms. As Jason continued to abuse and kill animals, it could block camera signals for him. A month ago, it had already reached the point of modifying individual human memories. Now, it's probably capable of locating people. Otherwise, that man wouldn't have come back so coincidentally. The puppy remembers he always comes home around 7 o'clock, but this time he was a full 2 hours early. I thought of Jason's confident smile just now, and my heart sank. Tonight, will he find me? Duo shook her head. Not necessarily. A ghost's abilities have limitations. It should have a time interval between the first use and the second use. Duo noticed my fear and moved closer to me. Mom, don't be afraid. The puppy will protect you until it dies. Well, although it's already dead. I look at Duo, tears streaming uncontrollably. I'm sorry. It was my negligence that caused you to be run over by the truck 7 days ago. Duo left me. I can't forget Duo's broken body, crushed by the big truck. After that, I fell seriously ill. Duo seemed to want to say something but held back, and finally chose to rub against my pant leg. Whatever you do, don't go to an acquaintance's place to stay tonight. Find a safe hotel to stay in, and we'll figure something out tomorrow. During the day, the ghost's abilities are severely restricted. I couldn't turn to family or friends, nor could I report it to the police. Jason's ghost handled everything flawlessly, leaving no evidence to prove his crimes. I can't even stay at a chain hotel. I lowered my head and thought, Jason's friend works as an auxiliary police officer at the police station. If I use my ID card to check into a hotel, forget about ghosts. He could easily find my hiding place through his friend. I picked a few very small hotels along the way, but Duo thought none of them were suitable. We kept walking until we came across a convenience store with a nearly worn-out hotel sign posted upstairs. Duo tugged at my pant leg. This place is safe. Ghosts can't find it. The first floor of the hotel was a very narrow stairwell. We walked up the stairs to the second floor, and the hotel's entrance nearly hit me in the face. It was a very small and old hotel. The decor from the millennial era 20 years ago hasn't been updated to this day. The checkout counter was cluttered with all sorts of things, and even the statue of God placed on it was covered in a thin layer of dust. Boss, I need a room. The owner was eating instant noodles and, without looking up, extended a hand. I stammered a bit. No, I didn't bring it. Can I skip the registration? The boss finally looked up, his eyes scanning me. The boss was a thin middle-aged man. He looked at me with a hint of disdain in his eyes. Forget it. He waved his hand and handed me a key. Room 818, the one at the very end. I'm telling you, don't bring anyone else in later. He pointed at me, then at his own eyes. I'm watching. I knew he had misunderstood, but at the moment, I didn't have the mind to explain anything. I thanked him and went to my room number. Creak. The interior facilities of the room are as old as its lobby, but fortunately, it's relatively clean inside. I sat on the bed, my gaze fixed on the blue glass window. Can the statue of God block that ghost? Actually, I saw it. The statue of God was emitting a faint red glow, but Duo could still come in. Duo lay by my feet, seemingly tired. It's okay, Grandpa God is fair and knows right from wrong. He only stops evil spirits. Little dog spirits are fine. I smiled and patted Duo's head. Dogs are the kindest. Being sick made me feel drowsy. After confirming my safety, I soon fell asleep. I had a dream, in which I returned to the day Duo was hit and killed by a truck. Woof. That day, I was walking the dog absent-mindedly. I walked while scrolling through my phone, so I didn't notice when Duo's leash came loose. Woof. By the time I came to my senses, Duo had already run into the middle of the road. Duo. I anxiously tried to pull him back, but a large truck sped past. Ugh, Duo is dead. I'm overwhelmed with self-blame, wondering how I could be so careless and not secure the leash properly. The truck driver shirked responsibility, insisting that the fault was entirely mine for walking the dog without a leash. You're talking nonsense. It's my fault for not securing the rope properly, but don't you bear any responsibility for driving a trailer truck into the city, a large trailer truck, in the city. Something's not right. Wait a moment, the road I walk my dog on is a no-truck zone. Where did that truck come from? As one doubt arises, one flaw after another follows. I always check the leash before going out, so why did it suddenly come loose that day? Duo is very well behaved, so why did he run into the middle of the road? That road is a main city thoroughfare with constant traffic, so why were there no cars at all that day? Where did that large truck come from? I suddenly looked at the driver's face, only to see it rapidly rotting. He reached out and tore his own mouth open, gouged out his eyes, and broke his own neck. The head dangled and swayed on the neck. Found you. I woke up from my dream, and I was alone in the room. Duo was gone. Duo, I called softly, but there was no response. An inexplicable panic, an unprecedented panic. Duo. I still have many questions, but I can't find my puppy. Just as I was panicking and at a loss, Duo jumped in through the window. Mom, hurry, the ghost has found us. Duo kept calling out while leading me to escape from this place. I just went to find my deceased brothers and sisters to hold back that ghost, but their abilities are limited and they can't hold it for long. I didn't ask why the god statue had failed, because while escaping the main hall, I saw fragments scattered all Over the floor, this unreliable shop owner, Duo, was furious. Of all times to drink, why did it have to be now? I even broke the god statue. As I passed by the fragments, I grabbed a handful of them. They still had a faint red glow. Take some with us, just in case they come in handy. Duo, and I decided to flee to the nearest temple. If God's statue is effective, then temples should be too. I glanced at it. It was 3 kilometers away from us. Rushing downstairs, I snatched the shared bike that a guy nearby had just unlocked. Are you crazy? I'm going to be late for work. Ignoring the boy's frantic roar, I pedaled the bicycle furiously, the pedals nearly sparking under my force. After crossing one intersection after another, just as I was about to reach the foot of the temple, those 2 figures appeared. A ghost stared at me intently, while Jason grinned at me. They blocked my path. Mom, hit the brakes, turn around. Duo shouted from behind me. I steeled myself, stood up, and pedaled harder. Brake for what? Charge. Through. Without slowing down, I freed one hand and fumbled in my pocket. I unhesitatingly scattered the god fragments toward the 2 of them. The ghost was burned by the fragments, while Jason suffered physical injuries. The fragments nearly cut his eyes. Taking advantage of the moment, I rode my bike and rushed past them. The wheels ran over Jason's foot, and I nearly lost my balance and fell. I heard Jason scream, and my heart was pounding. A fast-moving bicycle can also have the chance to kill someone. There are still a few hundred meters left. I can't let my guard down. I knew I had completely enraged them. The wind howled, a bit like the sound of a blade. The time the fragments bought me was brief. Jason quickly closed in with the help of the crooked-headed ghost. He was very close now. I could hear the strange, guttural roars coming from Jason's mouth. Just a second before Jason could grab me, I leaped from the car. The car fell over, tripping Jason. He shook his head, as if he didn't feel any pain, and quickly got up, step by step closing in on me. I had overestimated myself after all. The act of jumping from the car had caused me to sprain my ankle. The temple gate was not far behind me, but I was too late. Am I going to die? I thought in despair. With every step Jason took, his smile grew wider. Wasn't it better to stay home obediently? I originally wanted to make it less painful for you. Now, Jason's claws reached for me, and I closed my eyes. Alas, the death I imagined did not come. That sigh seemed to stop Jason. I opened my eyes and found Jason looking pained. He struggled a few times, only to realize he was restrained. Another sigh followed. I'm so hungry. He let out a painful howl, his body twisting as the tilted head ghost withdrew from him. After emerging, the lifting head ghost didn't turn its gaze toward Jason and me. It stared intently at the door behind me. Jason shook his throbbing head and staggered toward me again. Damn it, die. He still didn't succeed, as a burly man grabbed his hand. What are you doing? Harassing a girl in broad daylight in front of so many people. The burly man forced him to step back, and only then did I realize that, at some point, many people had gathered around us. They formed a circle, pointing and whispering about us. By the way, this temple is located in the city center, where there is a high volume of foot traffic. But just now, I didn't see a single person. It was a barrier set up by ghosts, but it has now lost its effect. Jason was being criticized, and his face turned as purple as a pig's liver. Still not leaving. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. The burly man glared fiercely at Jason. He had always despised cowards who hit women. Jason knew he had missed his best opportunity. He pointed at me angrily before storming off. I knew he would look for another chance, as long as I was still alive, or he was. Jason ran off. The crowd dispersed, and the burly man helped me up. Thank you. I thanked him absent-mindedly. I heard something calling me from behind the door. Come in. I entered the temple, and a young monk was waiting for me behind the door. The temple was very popular, and the pungent smell of candle smoke could be smelled even at the foot of the mountain. The young monk led me all the way up. He took me through the heaven hall at the top and brought me to the guest rooms in the backyard. Rest here for a while, he said, bowing to me. Remember, you must leave before dark. After dark, this place cannot protect you. Wait a moment, I called out to him as he was about to leave. Why, isn't this a temple? The young monk turned to look at me and pointed toward the heaven palace, shrouded in swirling smoke not far away. What do you see? I focused my gaze and looked closely. Amid the white smoke, a faint golden light flickered in and out of sight. How could that be? The incense here is clearly very abundant. I couldn't understand why the power of faith was so weak in a temple with such abundant incense. The young monk smiled and said, a commercial temple can no longer retain faith. Tonight, it will be especially powerful, so I'm not resigned. Is there really no way to survive tonight? The young monk didn't answer yes or no. Perhaps, benefactor puppy can find a way to survive. Duo. It seems Duo left the moment the chase began and hasn't returned yet. I wanted to ask more, but the little monk had already disappeared. I sat in The side room, counting the time. I watched the sun slowly move from the east to the west. What could I do? Ordinary people are too weak in front of evil spirits. What's more, it's a combination of a human and a ghost determined to kill you. Even when the head-tilting ghost was restricted, it was so hard to deal with. Tonight, with its full strength unleashed, what reason do I have to survive? At 2 p.m., Duo returned. Mommy, although it's a spirit, I could still sense its exhaustion. I suddenly feel a strong disgust for myself. I've already given up hope for living, yet my little dog is still running around for me. Maybe we should just give up. I want Duo to escape on its own. That ID card was torn to pieces by me long ago. As long as it leaves me, it will be safe, but Duo didn't think so. I've found a way for us to survive. The little dog never thought of escaping alone. It had been searching for a way for us to survive. Duo said that we could find a way. Out at the corner cafe on the pedestrian street, the spirits of small animals are too weak to deal with the crooked-necked ghost, it said, but if it's that person, there should be a way. He told me to find a black cat with green eyes. I found it sitting at a table by the entrance of the coffee shop. Mimi, I couldn't help but exclaim when I saw this black cat. Isn't this the black cat I picked up 3 months ago? It was very clever. It ran to my doorstep on its own, wanting to find a home for itself. I did want to adopt it at the time, and I did so. I took it for a checkup, dewormed it, and gave it a bath until the day before I was going to take it to get neutered. It ran away. Mimi squinted at me and flicked her tail. I didn't quite understand what she meant, but Duo smiled and said, "Great, the black cat has agreed to help, huh?" I looked at Mimi's disdainful expression toward Duo and felt uncertain for a moment. Meow, translator Duo, Lord Black Cat said he's going home with me tonight. Mimi flicked her tail. Go home, not running away, but going back. Meow, translator, the ghost's true form is at home. Go back and eliminate it. Don't worry, Lord Black Cat will help. Duo and I made our way back to the residential area. Really, can this work? Mimi didn't come along, which made me feel uncertain. Duo trusted Mimi completely and repeatedly assured me that it would definitely be fine. Ding. The elevator door opened, like a giant beast slowly opening its mouth, and I willingly let it swallow me. 14th floor, 1404. Jason is not at home, but I know that soon he will discover me. Soon he will return. Following Mimi's instructions as conveyed by Duo, I turned on the live streaming feature on a certain platform, recording the crime process. Live streaming is the most effective, because it was an amateur broadcast with no specific theme, aside from 1 or 2 people scrolling by. No one stayed in the live stream. After some thought, I changed the title of the live stream to, Have you ever seen a ghost? Supernatural topics are always very appealing, and indeed, 5 or 6 people stopped by my live stream. Is this a supernatural live stream? Can the host see ghosts? Me. I've seen one. It was a drowned female ghost, and she was lying on my back, smiling at me. Are there really ghosts in the world? To keep people around, I started chatting with them. I can see ghosts, but it's different from you all. The first ghost I saw was a little dog ghost. It loved me so much, it still wanted to protect me even after death. I told them a mix of truth and lies about what had happened over the past 2 days, and before I knew it, my live stream had gathered dozens of viewers. The puppy doesn't understand anything. The puppy just wants its mom to live. Can I see the puppy ghost? I want to see my kitten ghost too. Whoa, wait, you guys actually believe this? Using a deceased pet to gain attention, is that really loving dogs? Fingerprint unlock successful. Jason came back, and I quickly hid my phone in the corner. I was thinking of going to the temple to find you, but I never expected you to come back on your own. Jason smiled as he unwrapped his scarf, with a sinister look. You're being so well behaved. I'm in a good mood and have decided to reward you. Tell me, would you prefer that I start by pulling out your fingernails, or by skinning half of your leg first? He walked into the kitchen and started sharpening the knife right in front of me. He wasn't worried about me escaping. The crooked-headed ghost was guarding the door. Jason, I've already called the police. I took 2 steps back. It was impossible not to be nervous. Call the police. Jason burst into laughter. Your phone hasn't been able to make calls for a long time, and you're telling me you called the police? I clenched my fists. It wasn't me. It was. Was it those few people in your live stream? Jason's words made my eyes widen. Can you see? If your live stream is still broadcasting, he said, glancing disdainfully at the spot where I had hidden my phone. I trembled as I took out my phone. Streamer, are you still there? Where are you? Why did the screen suddenly go black? Did something happen? What are you talking about? This live stream has always been a black screen. No one has ever appeared. You're right. That's strange. Why do I feel like someone was there? Damn, I remembered wrong too. Impossible. I've been lurking In a black screen live stream for so long, what does that make me? Consider yourself impressive. The head-tilting ghost tampered with their memories. I felt the world spinning. Poor thing. Jason looked at me with pity. All right, I've decided for you. Let's start by pulling out your fingernails. He walked towards me with a pair of pliers. Meow. A cat's meow stopped Jason in his tracks. Where did that cat come from? Mimi leaped in through the window. This isn't the 14th floor. Jason was also stunned. The pliers held midair. The crooked-headed ghost had somehow appeared beside Jason, eyeing Mimi with considerable apprehension. Meow meow. Mimi assumed a hunting stance and pounced toward Jason, and then it was smashed to death by Jason with a single hammer blow. Although he knew his end was inevitable sooner or later, his heart felt even more thoroughly dead now. What the hell is this? Jason kicked Mimi's corpse away with a look of disgust. Next, he couldn't see his own ghost, so he didn't know that at this very moment, the head-tilting ghost's expression was turning ugly. Meow. Another Mimi emerged from the restroom. Mimi died again. The third Mimi emerged from the bedroom. The third Mimi died. The fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the ninth one. Mimi's bodies were scattered all over the ground, and Jason was panting heavily from exhaustion. Come on, bring it on. He was somewhat hysterical. Not coming anymore. If you're not coming, then it's my turn, he thought he had one, thought he was a god. If only he could see ghosts too, he would realize that the house is a bit crowded now. 9 Mimi's bodies, 9 Mimi's souls. Every time he killed a Mimi's soul would appear from the place where it died. Balcony, bedroom, bathroom, kitchen. They were in no hurry to move, their green cat eyes fixed intently on the wry-necked ghost. Actually, by the time Jason had killed the third one, the wry-necked ghost wanted to warn him, but Jason couldn't hear, as Duo had bitten his ear. Huff, huff, roar. The crooked-head ghost was furious. He was ready to deal with me personally. As soon as he moved, the Mimis also sprang into action. All 9 Mimis pounced at once, some biting at the ankles, some clawing at the eyes, and others grabbing at the hair. The living Mimi couldn't subdue the head-raising ghost, but the soul of the deceased Mimi was his nemesis. Black smoke billowed from the safe in the bedroom. The ghost's true form is in the bedroom, Duo shouted. Jason also noticed the anomaly, but I was quicker than him and took control of the safe first. Don't come any closer. I glared fiercely at Jason. Jason was clearly apprehensive, but he thought I didn't know the safe's password. Tina, don't push my limits. Give me the case, and I promise to make it quick for you. At this moment, he still believes he can kill me tonight. The password is 141025. Duo stood in front of me, ready to block Jason at any moment. The puppy begged the deity for a long time before finally getting a chance to attack a human. 1410. Seeing me enter the password accurately, Jason panicked. You bitch, die. A yellow figure appeared, pounced on Jason, and bit out his eyes. I opened the safe, and inside was a nearly shattered Buddha amulet. The crooked-necked ghost was on the verge of death, so I gave him a hand. Smack. I smashed the Buddha amulet into pieces. Jason couldn't see, but he could hear sounds. He wildly swung the knife, trying to kill me. Bitch, I'll kill you. After a chaotic chase around the room, I found an opportunity to rush out. After grabbing my phone, I shouted into the live stream, call the police, there's a murderer here. The live stream came back online at some point, and the comment section was filled with rows of exclamation marks and question marks. What the hell? What happened? Am I seeing things? I see a lot of cat shadows, a fading human figure, and a little dog shadow lying on the ground. You two idiots upstairs, stop asking. The streamer is about to get killed. Call the police quickly. I was a bit injured, but fortunately the police arrived in time and subdued Jason. Strangely enough, tonight they not only caught Jason but also uncovered countless pieces of evidence of his crimes in a single night. He had been abusing and killing stray animals on the streets, and just a few days ago, he murdered a lost elderly person. Damn it. I've watched this surveillance footage several times before, and it never had this content, although it's unclear why. The evidence of Jason's murder is solid, and his arrest is a foregone conclusion. Jason, who was caught, seemed as if his spirit and energy had been drained. On the way to the police station, he kept aging rapidly, which even frightened the officers. Those who raise evil spirits will one day be devoured by them. That's probably how it is. At the police station, the elderly Jason confessed his motive for the crime. He didn't have a tragic background. He was simply a psychopath. At first, he would watch abusive videos, which excited him. Gradually, he was no longer satisfied with just watching. He wanted to put it into practice. At first, he was still a bit worried and only dared to target animals that looked like they were about to die. After becoming skilled, he was no longer satisfied. Jason's evil awakened the malevolent spirit in the Buddhist amulet he had bought. With the help of the malevolent spirit, Jason became even more unrestrained. He pretended to find homes for stray cats and dogs. But in reality, he took them outside to torture and kill them. After killing many, he was no longer satisfied. Simply torturing and killing without an audience wasn't thrilling enough. So I sat in the corridor of the police station, crying bitterly. On Jason's phone video, I found the lost memories, the road, the leash, the trailer. They were the memories implanted in my mind by the crooked-headed ghost. Jason killed my puppy right in front of me. Then he tampered with my memories, watching me foolishly still treat him as my husband. If he hadn't found the thrill of killing from the missing elderly, he would have continued to torment me with this method until I was reduced to a feeble-minded state. After giving my statement, I returned home. Duo tidied up her soul and sat in the spot she often occupied during her life, waiting for me. The 9 Mimis turned back into one, and it was time to take Duo away. Are you leaving? I crouched in front of Duo, unable to hold back my tears. Duo placed her paw on my shoulder, showing her signature golden retriever smile. Mom, don't cry. The puppy is going to be reincarnated. Mimi said it would be a good tire. Mimi glanced at him and flicked her tail in dissatisfaction. I'm sorry. I couldn't hold back and burst into tears. It's okay. It's not Mom's fault. The puppy was the one who ran onto the road carelessly. I cried even louder. Duo's smile froze. Mom, don't remember. Forget it. He looked at the sky and knew it was time to leave. In my next life, I'll still be a puppy. I shouted at the departing Duo. Will you still be Mommy's puppy? Duo wagged his tail, glanced back at me one last time, and said, I'll still be Mommy's puppy. Extra story: 3 years after Duo left, I'm still searching for a puppy with wings. My friends all say I'm crazy, petting every little yellow dog with white fur I see on the street, even after being scratched and bitten, and having to get multiple rabies shots. I still can't resist petting them. They don't understand that after I lost the ability to see ghosts, I gained a new one. Whenever I touch someone, I can feel their soul. I must find Duo. Maybe you should go to the hospital. My friend pointed at my head. You've been like this ever since Jason died. He really hit you hard. Jason, is he even worth it? The year he was executed, I claimed his body as his wife. I sealed all the orifices of the corpse, gouged out his eyes, cut off his tongue, and stuffed his mouth with corn. I wanted him to suffer for eternity, never to be reincarnated. After doing all this, I cremated Jason. The ashes after cremation were scattered by me in the septic tank. Seeing my face darken with anger, my friend didn't dare to continue. She could only watch as I crouched down and made a tsk tisk sound at the wary stray dog in the distance. The day we found Duo was a sunny one. I've ruled out another stray dog. I've almost petted every stray dog in the pet stores around here, but I still can't find my puppy. I was about to leave when I heard a cat's meow. I turned around and found a calico cat nursing her kittens. It didn't seem hostile toward me, almost as if guided by some unseen force. I crouched down and asked her, have you seen a little dog named Duo? The calico didn't respond to me, and I laughed at myself in amusement. Since I'd be going home to an empty house anyway, I decided to just stay and watch the kittens nursing. At first glance, this struck me as quite novel. A litter of kittens, all 3 calico, yet there was one little orange cat that stood out, and it was the chubbiest one. This little orange kitten was entirely yellow, except for a patch on its back. On the back, no way. I tentatively reached out to Calico, and surprisingly, she showed no hostility toward me. So I then extended my mischievous hand toward the chubby orange cat. The moment I touched it, I saw a puppy with wings. Duo. The chubby orange kitten, full from nursing, wobbled over to my feet when it heard me call, meow. At that moment, a completely black Chinese dog abruptly walked by. I became a pet blogger with both cats and dogs, a fat orange cat named Duo, and a dog named Mimi. Although they don't understand why a dog is named Mimi, I don't understand why the fat orange cat is more like a dog than an actual dog. Mom. Sorry. Duo gobbled up the cat food. I was in too much of a hurry during reincarnation. Slipped, and accidentally kicked brother me into the dog path, and then we just, ended up like this, and I had to become a cat. Mimi lay on the balcony basking in the sun and cursed, stupid dog. Duo chattered endlessly about its magical experience. That man, he's so miserable, he can't be reincarnated. Every day he's rolled on a nail board and fried in boiling oil. By the way, about me, do you know? I asked him why he agreed to help you so quickly. Guess what he said? Duo said mysteriously, let me tell you. He said, although you wanted to cut his balls off, I have to admit you're actually a good person. I couldn't help but laugh, glancing at Mimi out of the corner of my eye. Mimi ignored us, but his perked up ears gave him away. A long time passed. Human, having me, the 9 lives mystic cat, is your blessing. Now, come pet me. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.